Hi, my name is Michelle and welcome to my Emotional Resilience Coaching channel. It is great to be chatting to you, and today we are going to talk just a little bit about grief and what that looks like. But before we do that, please obviously hit like, subscribe, the notifications button, and I always enjoy hearing from you. So grief is a complicated topic really, because it doesn't look the same for everybody. What we tend to do is we tend to think of grief as something that only affects us if there is a physical loss. If somebody has passed away in our lives, then we feel that this is what grief looks like, it's understandable, this is what I'm going through. And we tend to be a lot, not necessarily perfectly or not necessarily always do it well, but we tend to give ourselves a lot more slack when we were in grief in those stages. We think to ourselves, it's obvious, it makes sense, I'm grieving, right? This has just happened, this is what I'm going through. But the thing about grief that we often forget is when we grieve over the loss of a relationship, be it a divorce, an end of a friendship, maybe it is the loss of a job, a loss of a home, finances, health. There were all sorts of aspects. And let's be honest, 2020, for a lot of people, there were so many losses of opportunities, functions, celebrations. There's so many things about 2020 that people weren't able to do. People weren't able to experience. People lost jobs. Yes, people lost lives. People lost relationships. Apparently, there was an all-time high of divorces and relationships breaking up, people breaking up with each other, happened during lockdowns. So there is no one way to grieve something. There is no checklist that we can go tick, 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 tick off. It doesn't work that way, because grieving is not linear. Just as healing isn't linear, obviously grieving isn't linear. There's no way we can just go, oh, okay, this is what I got to do, and then it's over. And so we are very aware of the main points of grieving, right? We're always familiar with the denial part, right? The fighting, arguing, not accepting what is. And the thing is that when we do that, there's so much resistance and so much extra pain. And we feel that if we acknowledge it, that we're going to make it okay, that we're saying this is all right. And so we want to fight all the time. And so denial is a very natural part of the process, right? Then we're obviously all very aware of the anger, and which also often comes hand in hand with the denial. It's not fair, it's not right, angry with God, angry with life, angry with situations, angry with ourselves, angry with people, right? We tend to really slip into the shame blame cycle there, which I have done a video on before. Then we have a lot of resentment because we judge the situation, what we could have done differently, who we should have been differently. We question our own worth often. What have I done to deserve this? Why do bad things happen to good people? We take it very personally, and we argue with life a lot, and we argue with situation, we argue with people. We just feel often that it is not fair, and we have this like deep depression, right? We make so much mean about ourselves. In depression, our thoughts have turned against us. We fight with ourselves, we are unkind to ourselves, we are mean-spirited to ourselves, we are so judgy and critical of ourselves, and this tape plays in our heads constantly over and over again. So think what that would do if you had somebody in your life like that, right, who was constantly giving you a hard time all the time. So that we're familiar with that stage. And then we have the stage of bargaining, where we feel, if I could just have done this, or if that could just have happened. Or again, it's not linear, it's not necessarily all one after the other, because we can flip back to anger, and we can flip back to denial, and in denial we can bargain, and a lot of it is interwoven, but these are just obviously the basic steps. And last but not least is the acceptance. This is the stage where we make peace with what is, but we put up quite a fight before we get there, and it's very normal, and it's messy, because life is really messy, and it is hard. Nobody has the answer to what this is supposed to look like, what grief is supposed to look like. I don't believe anybody has the answer to minimize that pain or to take that pain away or to none of that. I don't think there's a shortcut in the grieving process. I don't think there's a shortcut in healing. I don't think there is a magic pill we can take and it can all just change and disappear. It takes work. And that's what really scares a lot of people in their healing process, is the work that it takes. There is 4 tasks that we can use in the grieving process. And again, it's not in any particular order. It's not linear. It's also still very interwoven, and it's very similar. You'll see how it all ties in together. So what this looks like, what are the tasks we can do? What is the work that we can do to work with and facilitate this grieving process? So one of the things which is really, really popular is obviously to feel your feelings. And I have done a video on that before. But more than just feeling your feelings is actually processing your feelings. And what that means is learning to identify that feeling in your body. So when you have that feeling, you can recognize it for what it is and you can name it. So you can say, this is fear. This is abandonment. This is sadness. This is anger. This is frustration. This is whatever it is you're feeling, that you can recognize it for what it is, not judging yourself, not criticizing yourself, just being aware of what is actually going on in your mind and in your body. So when these emotions come up for you, you can say, oh, okay, this is sadness, this is anger, there's a message here, maybe there's something I need to look at, maybe there's something I need to focus on. And a brain dump is a really fantastic way to do this. I think I have shown you, I have done a video before on what a brain dump looks like. It's a really great way to just do a lot of free writing and just get a lot of that emotion out. And you would easily just fill pages and pages and pages when you feel that flow starts happening. Accept reality. It's not a check-off point. It's not about fighting. I think I've spoken about this before. Arguing with our past only makes us lose 100% of the time. Acceptance is a funny one because it also has levels. So we get to a point where we will accept something, and then there will be a whole lot more that we would need to process to get to the next level of acceptance, and so on and so forth, as we break down those barriers of resistance that we've built up inside us to what is. It's not just the physical loss, it's all the small things. It's what we made us mean about us. It's how we identified ourselves. It's how we made sense of our world that is now different and it's now changed. And for a lot of people, what new beginnings look like is that it's scary because we were in a rhythm, we were in a pattern, and now we need to find a new way of being. We need to try and discover what a new normal looks like, and that can be incredibly scary too, because there are aspects that we don't want to let go of. There's aspects that we don't want to change, and now we will be sitting in a situation where we're going to have to navigate a new us, a new future, a way forward. And there's a lot of us that's not going to want to be able to do that because we're going to fight because we like what is, right? We want what is back. And that's going to be part of that resistance phase that we're going to go through. So we need to recognize our emotions. We need to process our emotions. We need to look for a new normal. What is that going to be for us? Obviously, in stages. This is not something that you want to rush, and you want to be really loving with yourself. You want to be extra tender and extra kind to yourself and not beat yourself up through this process and judge yourself or criticize yourself or give yourself a hard time or tell yourself to suck it up or it's not that bad or other people have it worse or any of these other stories that we tell ourselves. We want to really just lean into the experience and the new world that we're going to have. There are going to be people who will leave you. There will be people who don't like who you are. There will be people who won't know how to deal with your grief. There will be people who don't know how to deal with your pain. There will be people who won't know how to relate to you anymore. So there's going to be lots of little losses along the way. But the ultimate goal is for you to find your path of healing, to be good and kind to you, to love you, figure out who you are, and allow yourself all the space and all the love and all the comfort that you need to be the best version of you. So thank you for joining me. And please, if you have any skills or tips or tools or thoughts that have helped you in the grieving process, because I do totally respect that it looks different for all of us. It's messy for all of us, but the details of it are different for all of us. How we get through it is different for all of us. The length of time is different for all of us. So if you have anything that you'd like to add, anything that has helped you, any tools, any skills, any thoughts, because that is ultimately what makes the difference for us, is a thought. What are we making this mean? What are we making this mean? Always, always, always about ourselves. That is huge, huge question to answer. And then when we know what that looks like, we're able to work on thoughts that actually serve us, thoughts that strengthen us, thoughts that support us, and thoughts that help us become more empowered. So as always, it was great chatting to you, and we will speak again soon. Have a most lovely day.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Emotional Resilience Coach. Please, quickly hit that subscribe button. It will save your life, I promise. Like and share this video and hit that notification bell.